Welcome back to another episode of Life in the Stands podcast. We have Jake, Zach, and Beans on the call today. We're excited to talk about some Cowboys players that probably need to get paid and also just kind of the wide receiver market in general in the NFL with a couple of deals coming out this offseason and getting done, some new highest annual contract values in NFL history, but also a couple of receivers that still really need to be paid. So excited to talk about all that. I want to remind everyone to like and subscribe, whatever platform you're watching on. Appreciate everyone watching and listening. And with that, Bender, let's jump into some Cowboys conversation. We're going to talk about three main players that are kind of due for a contract: Dak Prescott, Ceedee Lamb, Micah Parsons. So from there, take it away.
Yeah, I think we need to start with who the priority is here, and that's, in my opinion, not Dak. Um, what you pointing at, Beans? What
I
you
think we
pointing at?
should just add a fourth right off. I should. Oh, my broken pinky. We should add a fourth just right off of principle. Has Trayvon Diggs hasn't been signed yet, correct?
No, so we can talk about
So
it.
like if we're
So here's the thing.
I thought
like
This is
he
what
was
we're
saying
gonna.
he's
he
he's
still
he's
thinks
a
he
year
wasn't
out
going to the
still, but so
market,
is
but still
Dak,
think he
right?
wasn't getting paid.
Yeah, he's a year out, but like so was Micah Parsons. So now
Right.
here we go. I think we kind of screwed up with the
Dak
Dak
Prescott's not going to sign
contract.
regardless.
Oh, I don't know about that.
He's
Okay,
not
no,
signing.
hold up,
There's
hold up.
nothing that they can give him right now that's going to. Okay, I'll shut up. I'll shut up.
Yeah,
I'll shut up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, wait your turn, brother. Wait your turn. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
I'm sorry. Sorry.
to me, Beans and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Uh, More about like Ceedee Lamb, in my opinion, is probably a top five receiver in the league. Micah Parsons is a top three defensive end in the league. We agreed on that. I think you need to pay those guys because just based off of that alone, they are difference makers. I feel like you don't get top five receivers just out of the draft every year. You don't get top edge rushers every year. Dak is maybe top 12 in QBs, arguably, at least top half, but not top five, not top 10, in my opinion. So I think you can obviously go through the draft or free agency to get a veteran quarterback to fill our offense. That's where I'm at. I think you still need to run it this year just because they're all under contract. Um, Beans and I also talked about this as well. I think he wants to let Micah go and keep that offense, but we can get to that a different time. I argued with him about how Deron Bland's going to have to get paid as well. So I feel like you can only keep Bland or Diggs. Diggs is the one coming off an injury, so at the end of the day, I think Bland gets paid. That's my opinion. I think you can only keep two out of the three, though, between the three-headed monster between Micah, CD, and Dak. And if I'm gonna let anybody go, it's gonna be Dak Prescott.
Yeah, Bender, you're. I mean, I don't disagree with you just because if you're talking about like cost and like what you're paying for, like you're gonna have to pay top of the market because Dak Prescott's not gonna sign for anything less than 60,000 or 60 million a year. I
Yeah.
mean, realistically, because you have to compete with free agency because otherwise Dak doesn't. He has no incentive to sign this year unless you're gonna pay him what the open market would pay him. So at
Not
that
not
point,
to
you're just
interrupt, not
agreeing
to
to whatever
interrupt you all the
you sign
time here,
for.
but Lawrence getting paid, Tua getting paid is really screwing up everything in the contract situations. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, yeah. Because they're in the same bracket. If you're talking about like those guys are borderline top 10 quarterbacks, and they're getting
Yeah.
paid like they're gonna, you know what I mean? Like they're not like, I mean, shit. Jordan Love just signed
Yeah.
$220 million for an 8 game stretch where he played great. Like that's like reminiscent of Jimmy Garoppolo in 2018 or 2017 when he signed for 125 over five. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Or I'm sorry, what the heck?
Yeah.
Um, no, but you were right about me. You were right about me signing, me letting go of Micah because I don't agree with what you said yesterday. Just so everybody understands, he said he thinks it's easier to find a quarterback in the draft than a top five receiver or a top play like defensive end. I think that's ridiculous. I think quarterback's the hardest position to find, regardless. I think that there are a lot of chances to take a quarterback, but finding a quarterback that's as good as Dak Prescott is going to be damn near impossible without trading a ridiculous amount of picks. With that
I
being
think
said, I let go of Micah personally because as a Niner fan, we were talking about this yesterday. Like, you have Demarcus Lawrence making 13 million, and you want to let him go. Bosa makes $34.5 million a year. You know what I mean? Like Myles Garrett is getting paid 26. You know, T.J. Watt's getting paid 28. Like these guys are getting paid significantly less. So if you're going to pay market between that, between Micah at 35 or 34 or whatever it's going to cost, and paying Dak 60, I'd pay Dak 60. So then you can pay Ceedee Lamb and keep that core together, because then you do have a little bit of extra money for Deron Bland. You know what I mean? And like we were talking about yesterday, him and Diggs play the exact same. You know, not the exact same. Let me not say that, but they play very similarly. It's very feast or famine in that defense. But I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Zimmer.
Similar styles for sure. I mean, my take on this, I think, to build off what Beans is saying, is just based off positional value in the NFL. Most important guy to pay here for me is Dak Prescott, and it's not close. And you say Dak Prescott.
Yeah, as a Steelers fan.
This is a Steelers fan, right? And maybe this is biased.
No quarterbacks.
I mean, we draft receivers and edge players in the draft all the time. I don't know why it's so hard for other teams, because it's easy apparently for the Steelers.
That's what I'm saying.
We just pick guys up, right?
Debo, Bosa, like.
But QB in the NFL, I don't think Dak Prescott's a top 12 QB. I think he's a top 5 to 7 QB. Like you got to put him pretty high up there with his production levels over the past, like consistently,
He's better than
5
Dak.
to 6 years. Like he's up there. You're not going to find a QB like that very easily, like Beans is saying. I think like you can't discount how difficult that search would be. And yeah, you might not be able to find a Ceedee Lamb, but you could find a Rashee Rice.
Okay,
right.
But here's the question.
Exactly.
And like that's a lot.
Or you can find a Josh Allen.
Next QB.
Right.
That's way easier than find the next QB. And you can find another
answer.
Way easier than find the next QB.
And if you're going to take a QB, you should have took him this year. You should have done
I
what
agree.
you could to get up to 12.
I agree.
Next year, you guys are stuck.
I agree. We messed up. I agree. We messed up. So you're saying, Zach, you're saying let go of Ceedee then? Like that? I mean, is that what we're doing? Are you getting rid of Ceedee, or are you getting rid of Micah? Because you're obviously paying Dak.
So I mean, the question was who's the most important to pay, and in my opinion, Dak is the most important to pay. If it was a question between Ceedee and Micah, I mean, the annual contract value for what you get out of Ceedee versus Micah, I mean, that's a really interesting conversation, because you're going to pay him just about the same amount on an annual basis. With where both those positions are at.
The discussion really truly stems around who do you plan on paying? Because if you prioritize Dak, right, and that's who you decide is the number one guy, then there's no way you don't keep him with Ceedee. There's no way. What did you sign a $60 million quarterback for if he has no other? Because what other weapons are on that team?
Let's backtrack. Let's backtrack. I think we're stuck paying only 2 out of the 3. We're stuck paying only 2 out of the 3 because our O linemen are going to get paid. Zach Martin continuously gets paid. Steele's going to get paid.
Yeah.
Martin's going to retire, though.
He already did get paid.
Figure out what's going to go on there too.
Yeah, so we have money
to have to pay Tyler Smith.
Yeah, Tyler Smith.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree with what Beans is trying to say, though.
So
if you're going to pay the quarterback, you got to keep the receiver, and then at that point, like the receiver contracts right now, average annual value, and this is kind of a good transition into talking about like CD and Ayuk and who should be getting paid in the wide receiver market. Some of the recent contracts that are coming out right now, right? Justin Jefferson's top of the market right now. $35 million annual
35.
value. AJ Brown's number 2 at $32 million.
Yeah.
Number 10, all the way down number 10 is DK Metcalf at $24 million. So you can get CV
right somewhere in the middle is Debo at 27.5. Yeah.
Like somewhere between 30
I think there's no. I don't think CD signs for anything less than like $33 million a year. The amount of volume that he has, the amount of importance that he has to the Cowboys, it's just how can you settle for anything less? It's not like Ayuk where you can say where Ayuk, you know, if you're the Niners, you can say Ayuk, sorry dude, you're behind Christian, you're behind you know, Kittle, you're behind Debo and targets and receptions. If you have no CD, you have nobody.
So here's the deal. I don't know how you guys feel about this. Just thinking about it.
That's how I feel.
Just thinking about it. Not my hairline, thank you. I would honestly go through the draft. I would go through the draft to get more O linemen than I would anything else. Like I would let go of Steele and Smith over like anything else just to
You
keep
just
CD,
priced
Micah,
you.
and
That's
Dak.
dead cap.
I would okay, but I would still get rid of some of those guys and just keep rebuilding the O-line. We've done it before. I feel like that would be our best move if we want to keep all three. Now, with that said, I think CD's going to get signed for at least 37 million because I think they're going to keep looking at the
You
market.
think he's gonna beat?
Yeah,
You think he signs
that's
37 this year?
but that's where I think there's a problem. I think he's going to want to be the highest paid receiver.
I hope he doesn't sign.
I know,
Right.
but he wants to be the highest
As
paid
they all do.
receiver. Dak wants to be up there with the Trevor Lawrences and Tua of the world, so he's at least getting 55. So there's so
Yeah,
much
well,
money
that's
to go
Jordan
around.
Love. That's
And then Mike is going to be like, look at my numbers
I
because
would
he's
hate
going
to
to
be a
pop off this year.
Cowboys fan. No, he's not.
I just think Mike is going to pop off this year,
He's
or
gonna
at
get
least
paid
flex his numbers a little bit and say he's going to want paid, like TJ Watt money or something. He's going to want paid.
It's a contract year.
Well,
Yeah.
TJ Watt's underpaid. I'm sorry. For as the second best
I said at the
rusher in the
least. I
league,
said at the least. I'm not
first or
saying that's what
third
he's
or whatever
getting.
you say. Right. But like that's what I'm saying is like you look at what you're gonna have to pay Micah, and that's so much higher than what anybody else except Bosa's making. You know, if you pay CD 36,
Yeah.
at least you have somebody else in the area that you know what I mean. Like I don't know, and I'm not. I mean, you guys know how I feel about Micah. I think he's kind of weak against the run, but that's for a different day. But the worst thing for a Niners fan is for CD to sign for 37. I'd fucking blow my head off right now if I saw the CD sign for 37. That means
It would be
Ayuk's get
brutal
gone.
for the
We're not
Niners.
paying him anywhere.
It'd
Yeah,
be
we're
brutal for the
fucked.
Niners.
We let
Okay.
DJ Moore get extended. We let um, Justin Jefferson. We signed AJ Brown. Or they let
Jalen
AJ
Waddle,
Brown,
Devontae
Devontae
Smith.
Smith. We
Y'all
Jalen
waited
Waddle.
too
Yeah,
long.
we let every single receiver that can get paid except for Jamar Chase and T Higgins, and Ayuk is getting paid. And
Yeah, thank
we're
goodness
just
the
like,
Bengals
nah,
are
we'll
also
wait.
making that same mistake.
Yeah.
Ricky Pearsall can't fucking separate in camp, so I'm clutching my pearls.
Hold on for a
I'm
second.
so sad.
Let's flip this to Zach. Zach, give me a number per year for CD and give me a number per year for Ayuk.
The other bald brother.
It's growing back shortly. It's kind of
It's like
been
fucking
crazy
Mario and Luigi of bald heads.
over like the whole course of the podcast. Like I started with like a little bit more hair than this and then grew it out like the whole time until it was like past my shoulders, right? And then just like all of a sudden 1 week just like back to bald. People were probably really confused. But numbers for
You
Ayuk
have like a
and
little bit of a
Lamb,
lump.
I mean, so just to start, I would pay CD way more than I would pay Ayuk. Not way more, but I'd pay CD more. And that's a reasonable conversation.
I say that
earlier, bigger portion of the
warm
offense, like that makes sense to pay CD more. That being said, like CD, his percentage of the Cowboys offense that he was responsible for and his volume that he had throughout last
Isn't it like
season.
30%?
Yeah, like that is Justin Jefferson type numbers. So like it wouldn't be that crazy to pay CD 36 or 37. Like I kind of agree with that. Ayuk, I think he's worth those low 30 numbers too. Because I think if you put Ayuk on a team where he's like in a decently similar position, like he's a really talented wide receiver too. I think he's not a wide receiver number two, like a wide receiver as well. I should clarify that. I mean, Ayuk is worth top 10 wide receiver money to me. Ceedee Lamb is worth top 2 or 3 receiver money to me.
What'd you say DK's getting paid at number 10?
DK is getting paid at number 10,
like
24 million.
Like 4.25.
So it drops off like
ridiculous.
Quick, right? But that contract is way older though, right? That contract is now aged 2 or 3 years, so that's how it works.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If I'm putting a number on Ayuk, I'm saying 30 or 31.
Low 30.
But I was gonna say 31 done.
But I don't think he's worth 37 or anything. I don't think he's worth being like all the way up with Justin Jefferson.
I don't think that it's not. I don't. It's not. I guess it's not more that he's not worth it. I think that he's the caliber of player to get something like that. But you can't pay somebody like that for the targets that he's getting. You know what I mean? Like CD is getting 100 and he caught 130 balls, or he had whatever for as many yards as he had. Ayuk caught half that. You know what I mean? Not half.
Ceedee Lamb had almost 2,000 yards.
Ceedee Lamb had almost 2,000
yards.
Hold on a second.
Right.
Ceedee
Exactly.
Lamb had 135 catches for about 1,700 yards and 12 touchdowns, and Ayuk had 75 catches
78 for
for
1,300.
75 for 1,300 and 7 touchdowns. So it's probably around half, if not a little bit more than half, of what CD did.
Right. Exactly. Now
Well,
see
let me
now
read
like
out these
the
top 10
difference is
contracts too. Let me read out these top 10
go
contracts
ahead.
too, just to have like the full kind of understanding of the top 10 receiver market. Then we can all kind of give last thoughts and wrap up. But at number one is Justin Jefferson, 35 million a year. AJ Brown is second
AJ
at
Brown.
32 million a year. Amon St. Brown is at
Tyreek.
$30,250 at number three to beat out Tyreek Hill, who's at number four at exactly $30 million. Jalen Waddle's five at 28,250K. Devontae Adams is sixth at 28 million. Cooper Kupp is seventh at 26.7. Devontae Smith is eighth at 25 million. Nico Collins ninth at 24 million and some change. And then 10th is DK Metcalf at exactly 24 million. So even if you look at
Bro,
those
the Raiders aren't gonna do
contracts,
shit this year.
those are not the
Give us
top
how
10
you for
receivers in the NFL.
Devontae Adams.
Those are not the top 10 receivers in the NFL right now. But because of the way contracts age, someone like Cooper Kupp is the seventh highest paid receiver in the NFL right now when he's probably still a top 20 or 30 receiver, but he's not seventh. I
Yeah.
wouldn't put him seventh,
Yeah, Puka's better.
right? Like that's how if you sign a 4-year deal and it has an average annual value that's better than any of the values before, it's just going to get outclassed the next year. So all of a sudden it
Right,
doesn't make
exactly.
players worse than that
Cool.
next guy. It just means
The salary cap goes up
yeah.
salary cap goes up 8% every year, whatever the heck the number is. Like it's all gonna work out, but sometimes like if you're the Niners, you're gonna have to give up an Eric Armstead so you can keep it's just eventually it's gonna happen. The Cowboys are at that point.
A
Like
lot.
I was gonna say earlier, like they could go into a rebuild. Imagine you keep Micah, you keep Ceedee, you get a young quarterback in there, like Bender's saying, right? Like you reset your cap when you do that, and you give yourself a new window with weapons. Like that's if there's really two ways. Sorry to bring the conversation way back, but there's really only like two ways you can go. You either ride it out with Dak, or you reset, basically, and you fire McCarthy because there's no way I'm letting him coach a young quarterback.
No way. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people still need to get paid, and I think we'll figure out what happens in the next maybe even few weeks. At this point, preseason football has started, so that's going to be fun to watch and see who plays in that. But to close out here, I'm going to end with athlete of the week, and I want to shout out Simone Biles for being one of the youngest all-around Olympic gold medalists. She crushed it. I'm glad she's back, and I'd like to at least give her that honor for the week.
And
Yeah,
she was
for
calling
sure.
out mad haters too.
Yeah.
Good for her, man. She's definitely on like a little bit of a redemption tour. So yeah, shout out to Simone Biles. She's crushing it. And with that, we'll wrap up another episode of Life in the Stands. Thanks everyone again for watching and listening. Remember to like and subscribe on whatever platform you are watching and listening on, and we'll see you next time.